God, country, Notre Dame. Father Theodore Hesburgh's impact on the university has always been strong. Now a pair of filmmakers want to make sure his legacy lives on for future generations. Our Vahid Sadrzadeh is live at the Hesburgh Library with that story. Hey, Vahid.
Allison, good morning. Hesburgh Documentary just came out on DVD just a couple of days ago, this week, in fact. But in May, it was the premiere, and we had a chance to sit down with the filmmakers, the writer and the director, Notre Dame alums, whose other works you may know very well. Names remain the same, but the storylines couldn't be more contrasting.
Two teams, two eras are about to clash.
I should warn your viewers, there's not nearly as much football in the Hesburgh film as there was in our 30 for 30, Catholics versus Convicts.
Notre Dame alums Patrick Creadon and Barca this time wanted to preserve a different piece of Notre Dame history.
He advises presidents, confers with the Pope. He is chairman of the Rockefeller Foundation. He is Father Theodore Martin Hesburgh, president of the University of Notre Dame.
I realized that there was a very good chance that his story was just gonna kind of fade away. Certainly not within the Notre Dame community, but outside of the Notre Dame community, I think people were quickly forgetting who he was and what he meant.
Though Creadon, the documentary's director, was faced with multiple challenges long before he brought Notre Dame's larger-than-life legend to the big screen.
We're making a film about a Catholic priest in 2019 who's been gone now for several years. And he's been off the public's radar for a long time, 20 or 30 years. How do we make that relevant? How do we make that vibrant? How do we bring that story to life?
And more importantly, why was it so vital to share his message now? The pair say today more than ever, the country and the world is seeing a crisis in leadership. And what Father Ted exemplified during his years as the university's leader needs to be seen.
I genuinely believe that we need Father Ted and examples like him right now, because we have forgotten what good leadership can look like.
The documentary digs into the essence of what Father Ted meant, not only to the overall growth of Notre Dame as a Catholic institution,
Mr. President, distinguished delegates,
but the relationships he forged with civil rights icons to bring about change on the topic of racial injustice in the 1960s.
Father Ted referred to the Civil Rights Commission as the conscience of the government. The commission will pay attention to what the government is doing, and if it's doing something that invades people's rights or won't advance human rights, then the commission ought to speak out and say so.
What were the challenges in reaching people who knew him well? What new information are we going to learn about him if we're Notre Dame fanatics? And what information are people going to learn about him if they don't know anything about Father Ted?
We always aimed for the widest general audience. What was going to appeal to them? And also we had to unearth things that people didn't know about Father Ted.
For Barca and Creadon, the way to tell that story was to talk to those that knew him best, including his late-in-life caregiver and Father Ted's personal driver.
What impresses me is what a good man he was, how he treated people, how he treated everybody the same.
Marty Ogren grew up in South Bend and became his go-to driver in 1976.
I said, Father, you might want to take a look at that young lady. I think she's got something going on. The next day he told me that that young lady had found out that her dad died that day. Her family called. She's from South America. They don't have the money for her to stay at Notre Dame. But Father Ted arranged to get her home, arranged to get her back, took care of her tuition and everything, you know. And out of all the things that, you know, people see, he took care of this young lady that needed him.
Long after his death, these stories continue to live on. Father Theodore Hesburgh's legacy, memory, and mark, leaving an imprint too large to measure. What do you want people to feel when they walk out of the theater or sit at home and watch Hesburgh?
What I want for people, and what I think they leave with, is inspired by what one man did with his life, but also inspired by what they can do with their own life.
That every single life matters, and that every single person can really make a difference in the world. That's one thing. The second takeaway I hope people take with them and carry with them is just the idea of kindness.
The most influential men in this country, aren't you? I don't think I'm trying to be. I know a lot of people. A lot of it's just power of friendship.
I think it's very simple. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. Do what you can. You know, you can't help everybody. Help the one you can, even if it's one person. Be kind. Take his example of what he did for people and make a difference in one person's life. If you did that, you'd be honoring Father Ted.
It's a very moving story about an ordinary man who lived an extraordinary life. And telling the story has really been one of the great honors of my career.
And don't forget the tissues.
Bring the tissues, yeah, for sure.
That statement is absolutely true. I was at the premiere in May in South Bend, and needless to say, there was not a dry eye in the crowd. Creadon and Barca went through so many avenues to find information on the legacy of Father Ted, including the FBI, which, believe it or not, collected 430 pages of Hesburgh.
Theodore Hesburgh is considered to be one of the most important educational, religious, and civic leaders of the 20th century. Last hour, we told you about the documentary that was released on DVD this week about his life. Well, our Vahid Sadrzadeh is live with part 2 of our Hesburgh series with an exclusive you'll only see right here on ABC 57 Saturday Kickoff. Vahid?
Allison, as college football fans ascend on campus here at the University of Notre Dame, one of the obvious selfie spots and picture spots that you'll find here that they want to take a picture with, of course, is Touchdown Jesus. The Word of Life mural, as it is called, was installed on the facade of the library in 1964. But what many fans do not see is the 13th floor of the building, an office where Father Ted Hesburgh spent many years in retirement overlooking the university he helped build. And for the very first time, we were given an exclusive tour of this still sacred space. Many aspects of the Hesburgh Library are brand new. The foyer, where faculty and students are welcome. Meeting rooms with state-of-the-art glass. But on the 13th floor, tucked away behind rows of books, one side of the building remains untouched. A simple nameplate on the door reads, Reverend Theodore M. Hesburgh, C.S.C. We are greeted by this, the stunning view and the office rarely seen. Hesburgh settled into this space in 1989 after his retirement and traveling the world with Father Ned Joyce.
You'll be able to see a number of mementos and a little bit about his life that is represented here on the 13th floor.
Dennis Brown personally worked with Father Hesburgh for 25 years before he passed away in 2015. Brown now gives this tour to first-year students.
The office today is pretty much the way it was the last day he worked in it, which was only a couple of weeks before he passed away, again at age 97.
Walking into his office is like walking back in time. Hesburgh, a cigar aficionado, with one still left on his desk, sitting right next to his trusty old magnifying glass.
He had macular degeneration, and so he had a magnifying glass that helped him see a little bit, but later in his life he really depended on students to come up and read the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post. He was a voracious reader.
The smell of oak wrapped around floor-to-ceiling bookcases, textbooks neatly stacked, many telling of his world travels, a sitting area where no doubt world leaders once sat.
He was very devoted to his family.
And pictures, dozens of them, of friends, dignitaries, presidents, and popes. Honors and awards hanging on the walls, resting on the shelves, lining the hallways, not just filling one room, but two.
Pretty good fisherman with the size of some of these fish that he was able to reel in.
And you'll find that Father Ted was an avid fisherman, with many adventures to Land O'Lakes, a property the university owns in Wisconsin. He was also a big fan of flying, a rare civilian on board a Blackbird.
The president felt like he owed some favors to Father Ted for all that Father Ted had done for the country, and so they did set a world record for speed, and it's one of his really favorite memories.
His personal driver, Marty Ogren, knows those adventures and this office well.
I would go up and see him and pick up his mail and talk, and so there's been a couple times since I've retired and where I've unlocked the door, and I walk back to say hi, and then he's not there. He's not there, you know, so yeah, we all miss him.
A leader, a friend, and always a father.
We'd get on the road and we'd talk 10, 15 minutes. He'd want to know about family and the work and things like that. And then he would ask me, as if he needed my permission, to say his daily prayers. And he would pray, and then he would delve into his work.
Of all the honors and accolades and achievements and titles that he held, being a priest was the most important thing to him.
Yes, his office also included a chapel.
The thing that is most notable about Father Hesburgh was the depth of his curiosity. He was a constant learner throughout his life, and was curious about any and everything. And I think that if all of us were that way and open to a wide variety of perspectives and thoughts, certainly in our current climate, that's something we could use a lot more of, and he was a great example of that.
A present-day view that preserves the past and that helps educate our future. What a view, what an office, what a man. Father Theodore Hesburgh, memorialized here at the University of Notre Dame, right next to Father Ned Joyce as well, who they had many adventures in their retirement. It was such an honor to view his office and go on that tour. Marty and Dennis both told me that only a few handful of students get to go on that tour each and every year, and they say it is an honor to give that tour to them because they say, and I think, Allison, this is what we have taken away from today. Father Theodore Hesburgh, those who knew him, they talk about kindness, and only if we can carry that into our lives today, I think we'd all be that much better. Live at the University of Notre Dame, Vahid Sadrzadeh, ABC 57 Saturday Kickoff. Allison will send it back to you.